Hey everyone, it's Jasper, aka Amadeus, and today I'm going to do a quick tutorial on a really important subject in EDM production, which is movement and tension. So, probably aware that one of the kind of foundations of the EDM genre is dynamics and the contrast between breaks and drops. And when you start to think about kind of macro scale dynamics like that, one of the really important things is how you can kind of push your listeners forward into listening to the next section, and because after all, the break isn't very interesting without the drop, and so it starts to become really important that you're able to create a sense of movement in your music that kind of flows toward the drop, and tension is one of the ways that a lot of really successful producers and really creative producers, in my opinion, go about doing this. So I'm just gonna go through some tracks that I enjoy and analyze and break down what exactly creates the tension and sense of movement in these songs. So hope this is helpful, and thanks. So the first song we're gonna look at is Justin Caruso's remix of the Chainsmokers and Tritonals, "Until You Were Gone." So let's listen to it, and I'll point out some elements as we go along. First thing that I notice is the motor rhythm of eighth notes and the claps on 2 and 4. Both of those definitely create a sense of movement and sets up what comes next. Also, you'll notice there's a re-space underneath everything. It's pretty high cut, but definitely phasey nature of that definitely creates some tension and sets up, makes you want to keep listening. You'll also notice that the arrangement elements are kind of coming in sequentially. Definitely an aspect that gives you a desire to keep listening. So you'll also notice that the song kind of grew in rhythmic complexity as well as arrangement complexity. The drums kind of went from just being a motor rhythm in the kind of guitar sound with claps on 2 and 4 to kind of a full beat, and then the drums took up the motor rhythm on the build-up. And I think that's definitely one of the commonalities. There are going to be a lot of commonalities in the songs that we listen to today, and one of them is definitely motor rhythm. So yeah, that's that song. Next song we're going to listen to is my remix of Inukshuk and Miles Away's The Pages, specifically the build section leading into the drop. So here's what it sounds like. So a couple of commonalities with the last song. There's more than a few eighth note arps kind of in the background that kind of keep that motor rhythm going, even though on the first verse we had drums in. The chorus / build up is drums out, but the motor rhythm in the arps is really important for kind of keeping that sense of movement going. And it may be kind of hard to hear with all the stuff that's layered in there, but there's actually claps on the quarter notes of the build up. Kind of easy to miss, in my opinion, if you're not listening to it. But kind of just like a lot of these other songs, having again that kind of multiple layers of motor rhythm even can really help. You can definitely overdo it. The quarter note claps and rides and things kind of a hallmark of big room house. Not my favorite genre, and if you're looking for reason to dismiss EDM as formulaic, big room house is your go-to. But still can be useful if you do it in a relatively subtle way, and definitely a lot of people do it in different ways. So the last thing I want to point out on this is the chord progression. So you'll notice that the chords on the build-up go from 4, 5, passing tone between 4 and 5, to minor 6, to inverted 5, with the bass note being the 7th. So what that works out to is an ascending chord progression, and that can really kind of create an uplifting sense that kind of keeps you pushing forward into the next section. And this is actually not a technique that's unique to EDM. A little background on me: I have been a classical musician as well for a long time, and this is something that you'll hear all the time in classical music. So here's a really great example of that. This is Strauss's Don Quixote. It's a sort of a cello concerto, and Strauss uses ascending harmonies in the exact same way to keep tension building. Wonderful piece of music. Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. You'll notice that the bass notes in that just kept going up, and I think that really gives you a sense of being uplifted, and really keeps you listening. So the next track we're going to listen to is Man Cub and Searchina's cover of Billie Eilish's Ocean Eyes, actually. Don't even know the original song, but this is easily one of my favorite remixes ever. The way that the producer kind of minimalistically creates a sense of tension is really pretty impressive, I think. So here's what that sounds like. Again, common theme being motor rhythm. The acoustic guitar plucks are creating that motor rhythm. Hits on 2 and 4, same thing. Another thing you'll notice is that the hits on 2 and 4 throughout the song actually differ. So it basically uses different snares layered with different things to create a sense of interest, and I think that's really powerful. I love these plucks so much. Sound design is incredible. Again, keeps the motor rhythm going, even though the drums are no longer there. Now the claps on 2 and 4 are back. One thing you'll notice in this song is a surprising lack of arrangement effects, actually. Like, very few risers and stuff, which I think is really powerful. There's no downlifter here. Love how he uses silence on the drop here. And you may have just noticed that the snare is changed here. The clap that's layered with the snares is still there, but underneath the snare is now layered kind of a more thuddy lower snare, which kind of, again, gives us a sense that the second half of the drop is different. Something that I've heard a lot of producers doing lately that I really like is keeping the drop different, even within the same drop. this song comes to mind. A lot of AU5 tracks do this, but that kind of really helps emphasize the extent to which ideally a track is going to be through composed rather than just like a break, build, drop, repeat. I really think that the future of EDM is through composed music with a little copy and pasting. So that just about does it for this song. Again, highly recommend checking out this remix. I love it a lot. Here's an example of a track that does a lot of these things that we've been talking about. In my opinion, it does it a little bit maybe unsubtly. You'll hear it does a lot of the same things, but perhaps an example of maybe a little bit of how to overdo it with this stuff. So great track though, I like it a lot still. One thing that's interesting here is the use of vocal chops in the intro. Pretty common, but it definitely creates a sense of promise and sets you up for listening later.
No matter the battle, because my love for you.
The ambient noise in the background from the bird sounds also does something. Motor rhythm and the electric guitars. Some arrangement effects here. And you'll notice the motor rhythm is now picked up by a shaker sound, which is kind of easy to miss. Now the motor rhythm is picked up by the build-up effects. So that's a little bit of an example of how it's easy to perhaps overdo it a little bit on these things. It's definitely a balance of including enough of these markers to help your listeners get an idea of what you want them to be feeling. But at the same time, if you overdo it, it's pretty easy to sound cheesy. And definitely one thing that it's tempting to do is to kind of delegate movement to your arrangement effects loops and motion loops and stuff like that. Those can definitely help, but if you kind of rely on those alone to bring movement to your track, it really is easy to sound formulaic, and you're certainly not going to sound very interesting or subtle that way, and definitely not unique. So something to bear in mind, the balance of when to use, risers, arrangement effects, motion loops, etc., and when not to. There's always a balance. And for our final track, we are going to talk about a song that kind of does what we're talking about. Creates a sense of movement better than almost any of these tracks, with almost no arrangement effects or anything. This is With You Friends Long Drive from Skrillex's Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites EP, also notable for being the EP that basically invented the genre of dubstep. So here's what this sounds like. Vocal chops all the way through. This is really, really vocal chop driven. Should go without saying, but the vocal chops on here are so emotive, and I really wish I could do it like this. We're automating the filter up on the saws in the background. Definitely creates some movement. Personally, I am ready to run through a brick wall right now. We've heard almost no arrangement effects, and I'm still listening. I still feel like there's a massive drop coming. really, this song is kind of a massive slow build. Definitely being understated and not giving your listeners an idea of what's coming even can be a huge way of keeping that sense of tension, especially when you have all the vocal chops. It really promises something. Motor rhythm and the vocal chops now, actually. Again, I am ready to run through a brick wall. No arrangement effects required. And that's where the song kind of goes back down a little bit. Takes a very long time to get to a 4 on the floor drop. But I just thought that song is a really great example of how you can kind of create a sense of tension and movement without almost any effort being paid to whatsoever. No arrangement effects, no motion loops. It's really 100% driven by just vocal chops and the slow build of promising something and taking a very long time to deliver it. So hope this is helpful as something of a basic intro to creating motion in EDM tracks. Please feel free to leave any comments, questions. Just join the dialogue in the comment section below. That'd be great. If you found this video helpful, please check out some of my other videos. I have a tutorial on creating a Nurko style lead and a tutorial where I created a track using only stock instruments. So please do check those out. If you find my tutorials helpful, please do subscribe. Thanks a lot.